Welcome to Teal Talk, an ovarian cancer podcast from the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition. We bring you trusted voices from experts and survivors to advocates to inform, support, and empower you throughout your journey. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media at NOCC National. This episode is made possible thanks to the support of people like you and our generous sponsors, GSK and Merck.
Welcome to the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition's Teal Talk, an ovarian cancer podcast. I'm Vonda Soldati, Director of Events and Community Engagement at the NOCC, and thrilled to be your host today. Joining me is truly an inspiring guest, Dr. Meredith Mitstifer. Not only is she an ovarian cancer survivor, a psychologist, she also serves as chair of the board at the NOCC. Thrilled to have you with us today. Can you take us back to the beginning of your journey and talk about those early days?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. The beginning was complicated, like most people, I'm sure. I had already been dealing with years of infertility and endometriosis, so my body and I were in this constant tug of war. When I finally decided to move forward with the possible fertility procedure, the doctors found a large unexplained mass. At first, we didn't know what it was. I wanted to wait and monitor this since I had a history of gynecological issues. But in that month of waiting, it tripled in size. Things, of course, escalated quickly. Surgery was recommended. But just before surgery, during those routine pre-op tests, I found out in that month of waiting that I had become naturally pregnant. So after everything we had been through with infertility, it was a surreal moment for sure. And all this hope and fear was definitely tangled together. So against all recommendations way back then, I put surgery on hold and waited until I was 4 months gestation before moving forward. During the surgery at 4 months gestation, the mass ruptured when they tried to remove it, spilling its contents inside me. The fetus survived, and a few days later, I was diagnosed with clear cell carcinoma, a rare and aggressive form of ovarian cancer. I then made another difficult decision, being pregnant, to delay treatment so that I could carry the pregnancy as far as possible and safely as possible. And 6 weeks after I delivered my son, I started chemo. It was terrifying. To make matters worse, the people I thought that would be my support system weren't. I was navigating motherhood, cancer treatment, and a lot of emotional wreckage all at once. But somehow, I made it through. I finished treatment, I finished my doctorate, and I got divorced, which was just another layer of loss, but also, I believe, a step to my healing. That season, shall I say, was the definition of survival mode, but it really did lay the groundwork for a lot of growth and clarity that came after for me.
So, Meredith, you mentioned a lot in your journey: a doctorate degree, getting a divorce, and then on top of that, ovarian cancer diagnosis. When did you realize that you did not have to face ovarian cancer all alone?
I think there are two moments that really stand out to me. One sounds very simplistic, right? It was a very good friend, my college roommate, and she just showed up. And she had no grand gestures, no speeches. She just sat down next to me and didn't try to fix anything. And she just said, "Wow, Mare, this really sucks." And I don't know, as weird as that sounds, it was extremely refreshing. It was the first moment that I thought maybe I can open the door a little bit. But even more, I think the second moment and the more defining moment was actually attending my first National Ovarian Cancer Coalition walk in Philadelphia. And it was due to some really good friends that actually had to drag me there. But that's honestly when it hit me that I didn't have to do this solo. I met people, I heard their stories that I obviously could relate to. And I was just also surrounded by people who got it, Vonda. Like, they don't have to say anything, but you just feel that they understand. And that was really powerful for me. And the people who dragged me there, they weren't afraid to stand in the hard with me, which is something I truly appreciated. So I guess it was then I realized I don't have to be the strong one all the time, and I don't have to carry this alone. There truly is strength in letting others show up for you, even when you feel like a hot mess in your pajamas that the laundry has not seen in a long time.
At the NOCC, and I'm sure you're accustomed to this too, Meredith, we hear sometimes people don't have that friend that can show up, or their family lives far away. So can you tell us more about the Teal community, how it actually helped in recovery emotionally, physically, and being there for you?
Oh gosh, yeah. I wish I had found this community sooner, because community is, or was at that time and still is for me, everything. It was the messages that just came at just the right moment, right? The people that said to me as soon as they met me, you don't have to be strong today. You don't have to be strong here. But they were also ones that brought laughter back into the room. Emotionally, I think they were the people that held space for my grief and my fear, my mess, right? Like cancer's messy, treatment's messy. Realizing who's going to be in your journey and who isn't. So mentally, they reminded me that I'm still me. I'm not just a patient. I'm more than just a diagnosis. And people ask me, how did you do it with a baby? And I say, how did you do it without a baby? These people, this community, and my baby definitely anchored me when I couldn't find my footing. So community and, of course, my son were definitely great lifelines. And it was those that met me where I was at, but also gently tried to push me towards a little joy. And every gesture that reminded me that I was still human and still loved and still me, even though I looked different, I felt different, and I didn't know who I was anymore at times. They reminded me that I wasn't just surviving cancer. I was living life, and I had to live life, even if it was one awkward, bald-headed day at a time.
There's nothing like the Teal community at NOCC. So surviving, thriving, what's the difference? And where do you see yourself in terms of thriving?
I can start with surviving, right? That's when we white knuckle things. It's those breath by breath moments. You're just trying to make it through the day or finish a bunch of tasks. Where thriving, that's where life really started to expand for me. It looks like finding joy without guilt and setting boundaries without apology, embracing this new version of myself with my scars, my strengths, my softness. It's about being fearless and feeling fully alive. I sometimes look back at surviving like when you're on this treadmill that's slightly like a little too fast and you're just trying not to fall off and keep your balance all the time. Where when you move over to the thrivership, I say, that's when you step off this treadmill and you decide that you're going to walk, skip, or dance at your own pace. Thriving definitely looks different now than it did when I was in the heat of it. But how it looks now, or different for me now, is that I say no more often and I celebrate the little things. I surround myself with people who get it and a lot less negativity. I have a lot less roles or what I call shoulds in my life. And even though I think by nature I'm a caretaker, while I still tend to take care of others, it's not at the expense of not taking care of myself anymore. And last, I say yes to crazy adventures. And I love being part of the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition's Team Teal Endurance platform. I have found to love challenging myself. And while it's not always flashy, it definitely is incredibly freeing. And it reminds me to be grateful that I'm alive.
Pivotal moments. Was there a time when you started to realize, I'm not just getting through this, I'm growing from this experience?
It's a really great question. I think the shift wasn't overnight, but through that shift, it definitely changed the lens that I saw everything through. Maybe it was the moment that I realized I could not let this experience shape me, or I could let this experience, I should say, shape me without letting it define me. So growth came in these weird, quiet ways, like how I handle stress or the things that I say to myself. I think they were more subtle, but repetitive for me to watch out for. One of the biggest shifts maybe happened when I stopped trying to bounce back, right? Some people that don't understand us in the cancer world, right? They're just so ready for you to be your old self again. I don't know if I would ever be my old self again or if I'd want to. I learned to start leaning into the idea of bouncing forward because let's face it, bouncing back to who I was before cancer, I didn't really know her anymore. And I don't think that person knew how to sleep or how to take care of herself or how to say no to things. So I think growth came in the moment I realized that I didn't need to go back, but rather forward. It's not wrapped up all in this great motivational poster. It comes in everyday choices, choosing joy, especially when you just feel so blah, and choosing boundaries, even when other people don't get it. I also think giving yourself grace that some days are going to be messy and weird, and choosing to believe that my pain could be repurposed into something meaningful. And it is now. That type of movement, that movement forward, it counts. My favorite quote is from Kay Yao. She was a former legendary basketball coach who was diagnosed and died of breast cancer. But she said, when life kicks you, let it kick you forward. So I try to follow that.
So talk about the little things, finding joy in the little things. What does that mean to you in terms of recovery and renewal?
The little things are everything. And I don't know if I realized that right away or not, but when you've been in a place where getting out of bed is a win, or tasting food again that tastes like a miracle, you start to see how much life lives in the small stuff. Celebrating the little things reminds you that you're moving forward, even if it's only inch by inch. I also think celebrating the little things, it brings gratitude into the picture. And for me, gratitude was a game changer. We hear all the time, be grateful, talk about gratitude, do a gratitude journal. And I don't think it's all taught. When you start your day first thing in the morning talking about different things you're grateful for and never letting one of them repeat, it really forces you to look at what good things are around. And when you're faced with the big stuff, you realize how sacred the small stuff is. So those moments, they add up.
For others that are still trying to find their path, still trying to find their way, whether it's to be creative again, to advocate, what do you tell them where they can start?
I think someone had told me this, and it really stuck with me, and it was, you don't have to know exactly who you'll be on the other side of this. Just trust that you will still be there. But maybe it'll be a deeper, more resilient version of yourself. Again, give yourself grace. Let people in. Remember, healing is definitely not in a straight line, and that's okay. Whether you want to cry or you want to laugh or both, that's part of it. And most importantly, this is why I just love the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition. You're just not alone. You're doing probably better than you think. You're not weak for struggling. For goodness sake, you're a dragon slayer, right? For just showing up and dealing with everything that you have to deal with on that day. I know some people refer to this process all the time like a fight, right? We're going to fight cancer. And instead, I recommend that you negotiate with it, right? Maybe you give it the little side eye every now and then. And for me, of course, sarcasm takes a role. So sometimes I add in some sarcastic comments when it tries to ruin your week. So you don't have to have it all figured out. And you don't need to be brave every second of the day. I would just recommend to take one step and one messy moment at a time and find your people, because we are here.
This has been a journey for you. This is 21 years in the making since that original diagnosis. So finally, Meredith, for anyone listening who's currently navigating treatment, wondering what comes next, what message, what mindset would you want to leave them with?
Go at your own pace. But if you feel like you're getting stuck, that's definitely a sign that you're not capable of doing this all on your own, and reach out and know that there is a community of Teal that understands and gets it. And all you need to do is find that community, and it can make a world of difference. So don't try to do this alone. There's not a bigger prize at the end if you get through it by yourself. And in fact, I think the bigger prize is when you realize the community of support that is out there for you. So that's what I would recommend. And I waited too long. I wish I would have started a bit earlier, but my stubbornness played a role, and maybe things would have been a little bit easier to handle. I didn't wait as long.
Here you are, and we're thrilled that you took the time to be with us. Thank you truly for sharing your story and the hope that comes with it. Your journey is truly, it's a powerful reminder to us all, whether we have a cancer diagnosis or not, that life is not just about surviving, it's about thriving. And to our listeners, you are not alone. There is life beyond an ovarian cancer diagnosis, and the Teal community at the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition is here to walk alongside you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Teal Talk. We'd love your feedback. Take our quick survey linked in the description or drop a comment with your questions and topic suggestions. For more information about the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition and our mission, visit ovarian.org. Until next time, stay informed, stay empowered, and take care.